Hi fans and friends, it's Brian Beck, your friend for life. And with the market as hot as it is right now, I'm sure a lot of you would-be sellers are thinking, hey, should I just sell for sale by owner or FSBO? Well, let's talk about that right now. Okay, I get it. Houses are selling like hotcakes, and you're hearing all kinds of stories about houses selling for over list price, and you think you can save a few bucks by not using a realtor. I'm not here to say whether you can or you can't, but there's a few questions that you should ask yourself before you decide to do that. First question, are you willing to pay a buyer's agent? I'm sure you know that out there's people that sellers agents that represent the sellers, and then there's buyer's agents that represent the buyers. So if you're going to sell your house yourself, are you going to compensate a buyer's agent? If you do use a buyer's agent, first of all, most people have a buyer's agent because it doesn't cost them anything. It's paid for by the seller normally. So any serious house hunter will probably have an agent. So if you don't do business with a buyer's agent, or you're not willing to compensate them, then you're going to cut out a lot of the people that would come and look at your house. Another thing a buyer's agent will do for you is they will qualify the buyers for you. So when they bring a buyer over, they're not going to bring over a buyer who hasn't already provided proof of funds. Now, if you're not using a buyer's agent, you would have to do that yourself somehow. Probably you would want to use a buyer's agent, or you not use a buyer's agent, but you would want to compensate a buyer's agent for bringing you a buyer. And that's probably going to cost you about 3% of the house. I'm sure you see where, commissions are typically around 6%. That's split 3% between the selling agent and the buying agent. Given that you would probably want to hire a buyer's agent, that means the money that you're going to save, which you probably thought was 6%, is now really only 3%. Next thing you have to think about, do you have all the legal docs? Do you know what you need in order to legally transfer the house? Do you know that you have to give disclosure information about the house, everything that needs to be repaired, anything that's could be a liability? You need to provide information about the land itself. So if you don't have those legal docs, it could cost you $1,000 to have an attorney draft them for you. So you could lose some money there. Do you know exactly what your house is worth? Are you going to pay for an appraisal? Are you going to maybe ask a realtor? If you ask me, I'd happily give you a competitive market analysis, which would tell you pretty close to what your house is worth. Now you may think because somebody in your neighborhood sold a house for X amount of dollars that your house is worth about the same. Well, houses can vary a lot from neighborhood to neighborhood, and without taking a detailed look at the comparable sales out there, you're not going to come up with a really accurate estimate of what your house is worth. If you don't do that, if you don't know exactly what the house is worth or close to it, you could underprice it, thinking that it would bid up, but when you start out low, it's not going to get bid up really high. And if you set the house too high, a lot of people won't even look at it. Even though it might ultimately get bid up higher than that, they're going to look at it and say, well, it's going to get bid up even higher, and I might not even want to look at this house, so you're going to lose some people that way. How will you market your house? How are you going to let people know your house is out there? Stick a sign in the yard, probably. Maybe put it on Zillow. If you're really a go-getter, there are real estate agents out there that will put it on the MLS, the multiple listing service, for you, and charge you some sort of fee for that. But you have to understand that when they do that, when they put it on the multiple listing service, they're going to take your money, they're going to list it on the MLS, and they're not going to do another thing for you. They're not going to help you market it. They're not going to set up showings. They're not going to do anything for you. That's the end of everything they're going to do. So I've seen that not be really helpful for a lot of people if they have to do all the back end work. Another thing, what about showings? How are you going to handle showings? What if you get 20 to 30 people that want to see your house in a single day, and it's still COVID and there's still germs around there, and how are you going to keep track of everybody, and how are you going to ensure that they can afford the house, that they're qualified buyers to begin with, and how are you going to handle all the phone calls and scheduling and everything that goes along with that? What about qualifying buyers? We talked a little bit about that. You do want to make sure that they have the funds to buy the house if they actually are interested. You don't want to, beat yourself up over the head trying to show these people your property when they can't even afford it. Maybe they're just looky-loos. Maybe they want to get design ideas. They may even be casing the place. You never know. The other thing, some of the other incidentals you might want to look at is, will you pay to have the house professionally measured? Now this is important because the measurements that are in the tax records are not necessarily right. We've seen many cases where they're reported wrong and they were just sloppy when they were done. The thing is, you can be sued if you're significantly off on your house measurements. We routinely do a measurement on every house that we list, and that's just to CYA. That way we know it's correct and we're not going to get sued. How about staging the house? Are you going to do anything, hire a designer or stage the house yourself so that it really stands out and looks great? I know it's a lot of houses are getting sold, and you probably will sell your house, but if you want to get as much money as a realtor would, you really need to go the extra mile. Even in this market, people are going to distinguish between different houses. If they see a dumpy house and they see a nice house, of course you're going to pay more for the nicer house. Also, last thing, professional photographs. You want to have your house looking as good as possible wherever you post it. If you post it on Zillow, or if you do pay to get it on the MLS, and that'll cost you some money. It is worth it though, because the photographs do make a huge difference in how people perceive your house and whether they're even going to see it or not. The main thing a real estate agent will do is drive a lot of traffic to your house. They will qualify your buyers, and they will negotiate things like repairs, and in this market you could probably get away with waiving some of that stuff and the appraisals and all that, but they will negotiate for you. The last thing is too, this is actually a 10th thing and make the top 10 list. You will want to, or you will need to consider, we all carry E&O. A part of a chunk of our commission goes to paying for insurance in case we do happen to get sued over some sort of oversight or anything that comes up, and this can happen if you're not careful. If you do want to save money and try and list it yourself, consider this, that first of all, you're probably going to need to pay 3% to a buyer's agent, or you're going to make a lot less than you would with a realtor. And then the next thing to think about is that of that 3%, if you're marketing it, or a professional realtor that does this every day is marketing it, who is going to get more money? Who's probably going to get more money in your pocket? Dollars to donuts, a real estate agent will every time. Now the question is, how much money will they save you? How much money more money will they put you in your pocket? Is it 1%? If it's, if you think it's about 1%, it might be worth trying to sell it yourself. If it's, like the average, which is anywhere from 13 to 20% more, and you can look up these statistics, you may want to save yourself the trouble and not even get started with it. Just hire a realtor, end up with more money in your pocket and less hassle.